They were hairy animals, tree dwellers with a long tail and pointed ears, but the ladies preferred their companions without hair, so they chose the least hairy for mates. And that's how our ancestors lost their hair. So imagined Charles Darwin more than a century ago as he pondered the question of our origin. We were made, said Darwin, not in the image of God, but in the likeness of apes. London's Natural History Museum pays homage to Darwin in its Human Origins exhibit. The museum was first built to display the wonders of creation, but today it's a monument to evolution.
This is the fossilized skull of an Australopithecine, OH5.
Dr. Chris Stringer, a paleoanthropologist at the museum, is convinced that Darwin was right.
We think that humans separated from apes about 5 million years ago, although there is not fossil evidence of that period of separation. From about 4 million years ago, we have evidence of these creatures called Australopithecines. And these creatures were ape-like in many ways, but they did walk upright, and certainly in their teeth, for example, they show human features.
The famous Lucy is thought to be the earliest link in the tree of evolution. But there's strong disagreement among the experts. Some claim Lucy and other Australopithecines are just extinct apes. Paleoanthropologist Dr. Sigrid Hartvig Scherer has studied the fossils closely. She concludes that they can all be classified as either extinct types of apes or true humans.
These Australopithecines belong to one basic type and radiated into different niches, and so they could develop these very specialized things like the big molars and the very small front teeth and a very pinkish face. I don't think they are the precursors of humans.
Dr. Marvin Lubenow is Professor Emeritus at Christian Heritage College in San Diego. He's made a lifetime study of the ape men, and he's convinced that in the quest to find human ancestors, the fragmentary fossil evidence has been misinterpreted.
The evolutionists believe that you and I evolved from an ancestor of the chimpanzee. Now, the chimpanzees are not normally bipedal. They have relatively small brains, and they are not able to make tools with their hands. So the evolutionist has to somehow find an animal that has at least the latent capacity to make tools, to walk erect, and a relatively large brain. The early evidence for the Australopithecines is strong in that they are an extinct primate. The evidence that they are related to us is non-existent. Just being able to find animals that they claim may have walked erect does not prove that we evolved from them.
Marvin Lubenow believes ape-like creatures never changed into people. God created apes as apes and humans as humans. Science journalist Richard Milton, in his book Exploding the Myths of Darwinism, agrees with creationists that the fossils are either apes or true humans dressed up as ape men.
Darwinists say that the missing link is Australopithecus. The famous Lucy skeleton is a best-known example of Australopithecus. In fact, Lucy has been restored in museums around the world to look like a human ancestor. She's usually given a sort of an ape-like face and a human-like body with human hands, human feet. The truth is that Lucy's bones are actually those of an extinct arboreal ape. The hands and feet are those of a tree-dwelling creature, a creature that may have been able to come out of the trees occasionally, but certainly didn't spend the majority of its time walking upright. And many anthropologists who've examined Australopithecus remains have come to the conclusion that it's nothing more than an extinct ape. It's only Darwinists who insist that Australopithecus is a human ancestor. And I think it's a pity schoolchildren today are told so firmly and so convincingly that Australopithecus is their ancestor when there's virtually no evidence to support that.
A controversial Hall of Fame portrays our supposed evolutionary heritage of various ape men and one ape woman. But our ape-man ancestors look more like a rogues gallery, plagued by a history of misidentification of fragmentary fossil evidence, with ape men reconstructed from the remains of apes, pigs, and even a dolphin. The most notorious ape man, Piltdown Man, was hailed as the first Englishman for 40 years until it was recognized to be a fraud. The skull of a human combined with the jaw of an orangutan, artificially colored with its teeth filed down.
As well as arguments over interpretation, there have, of course, also been examples, even worse examples. There was the case of the early American ape man, which turned out to be an extinct peccary or pig-like creature. So the whole history of the missing link really has been a rather sorry history as far as science is concerned. It's been a mixture of fraud, a mixture of error, a mixture of misinterpretation. There are things which don't fit easily. It depends which characters you want to pick as being your marker of humanity or of being ape-like. So it's not a simple question.
The story of human evolution, with its gallery of disputed ape men, is preached from the pulpit, popularized in news headlines, and taught as fact in schools and museums.
This is a fossilized skull of an Australopithecus.
The fossils of our supposed human ancestors, sometimes only tiny bits and pieces of bone and teeth, leave a lot to the imagination. There's disagreement among experts over what differentiates a fossil ape from a human ancestor. Interpretation of the evidence depends a lot on which worldview you accept, creation or evolution. Marvin Lubenow believes ape-like creatures never changed into people. God created apes as apes and humans as humans.
This whole question stems from a reductionist and a humanistic attitude toward humans. The idea that humans are just animals that walk erect, have a large brain, and make tools. And the main point that the Bible emphasizes, as far as you and I are concerned as humans, is that we are made in the image of God.
Most evolutionists deny the possibility of supernatural intervention in our lives. We're just naked apes. No destiny, no purpose. No more than human animals without soul or spirit.
The key aspect of Darwinism, as far as we're concerned, is the question, where did we come from? Darwin's answer is that we and modern apes have evolved from some common ape-like ancestor millions of years in the past. Well, this conclusion really isn't borne out by the evidence. What's happened is that the theory has required a missing link, and workers in the field have, over the past 100 years, provided lots of missing links, or have offered us lots of skeletons as being missing links. What's happened in every case is that once the headlines have died down after the announcement of discovery, serious researchers have investigated the finds, and they've found that either the fossil in question was an extinct ape or it was an extinct human.